and a huge topic in the UFC community and MMA community is fighter pay. And someone who is on the spearhead, pun intended, of that is Ragin Kajan Johnson.
Welcome back.
Welcome back,
family. Good to be back.
Welcome back. Okay, so while we were prepping up, I asked you who Lucas Middlebrook was, and don't let me forget that because I want to go into that. Have you gotten any sort of negative flack from the UFC at all?
Nah, they got to be super careful with that stuff.
They got to be super careful with that stuff, especially with you.
Yeah, right. I'll put them on blast.
I mean, there's laws that are put in place to ensure his safety.
Yeah. But just because we are attempting to form a union, we are protected by federal law. So if they are attempting to stop us in any way, shape, or form, or if there's any negative repercussions for us attempting to start a union, it's actually illegal for them. So they got to really, really tiptoe around the subject.
Gotcha. Hey, okay, so explain to the listeners what exactly is Project Spearhead.
Well, Project Spearhead really is just an organizing effort, right? So we're just trying to get all the fighters together under one body so we can speak with one voice. And we're actually currently attempting to do this for the UFC as well as Bellator at the same time.
Nice.
So it's not just a UFC union, which I believe would solidify the UFC's monopoly in the mixed martial arts world, which would be horrible for us, and really nothing would be able to change and be able to manipulate us quite easily. So it was one of my ideas to start approaching Bellator guys right away, and we signed our first Bellator guy today. So it is an effort for both the organizations, and we don't really know exactly where this is going to go. It's a democratic organization, so right now I'm the interim vice president. Leslie Smith is the interim president. We've got Ally Quinta of all people as our interim secretary treasurer. But all those positions will be up for election, right? So weird. But that's good, right? If me and Al can work together on something.
Yep.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yep.
It just speaks to the power of this thing, right? If we're all able to put our differences aside and do what's best for us as a whole, then we're all just going to benefit. So I think it's time.
Right. So the last time we talked to you, the one thing that always sticks out of my mind was that part of the contract that said that your likeliness and all likeliness is owned by us for all eternity throughout the universe. Is that still holds today? Is that what you're still kind of fighting for?
Yeah. And it's still in my contract and probably Ashley's contract as well. I haven't seen her contract, but I think they put it in everybody's. So.
But you guys are in the new EA Sports game, right?
I'm not, but Ashley is.
Ashley's in that, and she's getting. How much money are you getting from that, Ashley? What?
Goose egg? Oh,
Well, so far they will. This is something that I did learn. I called them out for not compensating fighters at all.
Right.
And I was wrong because they do compensate fighters minimally. Apparently, I asked Ashley, she made a little bit of money off of UFC 2. I asked a couple other fighters, they did make a little bit of money off of UFC 2. It was quite minimal though. And really the biggest issue here is that we have no negotiating power. We're not even at the table when these decisions are being made, how much to pay us and all of these things. So we need to have a say. We need a seat at the table when these negotiations are actually happening, when they're figuring out, okay, how much are we going to compensate these fighters for using their name and likeness in a video game?
Right.
Because from everybody that I've talked to, it's not enough. It's nowhere near enough.
So you have this thing on your Instagram that you need 150 fighters to sign this. It's like a card, yes?
Yeah, it's a membership card, yes.
What is that? Is that to enroll into Project Spearhead? Is that?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
That will give you membership to Project Spearhead, and then once we have that membership, once we have that 30% of each organization, 30% of Bellator, 30% of UFC. Then we'll be able to have elections and figure out who wants to be leading this thing, if they want to keep the people in power, or if they want to switch things up if there's some better people. And then we'll be able to figure out exactly what the direction is that we're going to take with this thing.
So does that cost the fighters any money? Does it cost to be in that union? There's
not
some
right
of that
now.
Pay? Okay.
Not right now. Eventually, we will be contributing minimally.
Right.
There's a bunch of different ways that we could do that. People are throwing around ideas already, like maybe each fighter does like one seminar per year, and the proceeds will go to the union or the association or whatever we end up becoming.
So,
but yeah, it's really open for discussion at this point.
Since you started this, have you encountered any UFC fighters that have been reluctant to join or to sign the card?
Or want to, but they're afraid?
Really?
Not all of them, but
Yeah.
the majority are a little bit reluctant. Everybody's scared, right?
that was actually my next question. Does that upset you that the media and the fans are more concerned about fighter pay than the fighters? It seems like.
No,
I don't
that's
think
not
they're-
the case.
yeah, I
That's
don't
not the
think so
case.
either. Yeah.
The fighters are the most concerned about fighter pay because it's
Yeah.
their money, right?
Yeah. They're
It's
afraid
just-
of losing their jobs. by
They're
doing
afraid of making even less money
Right.
by just getting kicked out and booted.
Right.
But fortunately, because we're the way we're organizing, and we have Lucas Middlebrook heading this thing up as our lawyer, so he's got us a lot of information.
Can you explain who Lucas? Because I heard another interview where his name was mentioned. Who exactly is Lucas Middlebrook?
So Lucas Middlebrook is an attorney. He works out of Manhattan, and he was the lead attorney in the Nick Diaz fiasco when he was dealing with all that, with the drug testing and all that. So that was his first little foray into the mixed martial arts world. And since then, him and Leslie have been really close. And I've been talking with him for like a year and a half now, trying to figure out what this thing is and what we need to do and how we need to do it. So he's been a really, really good resource. In fact, yeah.
So when you say they, so like they don't want to give us this or they don't want to give us that, when you who is they? Is they a group of lawyers? Is they Dana White that goes, hell no, I want all the money from those EA games going to me and my pocket and the WMM or the new
it's the upper echelon
WME.
of the UFC company. Now, I don't really know exactly who makes what decision because we're not privy to that information.
Oh wow.
But I would imagine it's like Dana White, Lawrence Epstein, Ari, and I don't know, whoever else is up there. I don't really know everybody because we don't have a very open communication with the UFC. And they've said that they were going to have this open line of communication between the UFC and the athletes, but they do get back to me with when I do speak to them and ask them different questions, but it takes a long time, and I don't always get all the answers that I'm looking for.
So what happens once you get the 150 cards? What's the next step?
The first order of business is that once we have that 30% of both organizations, then we're going to bring that to the NLRB, and then we're going to see if we are in fact employed.
The NLR, is that the National League of Relations?
National Labor Relations Board, I believe, is the actual definition. But so we're gonna get them to investigate to see if we are in fact independent contractors or employees under the current conditions.
What are you right?
From
So
there,
you don't know right now. Right now.
What are you right now?
Yeah, are you guys employees?
right now we are classified as independent contractors,
Gotcha.
but a number of the practices that are going on, we are being treated as employees with none of the benefits. So we have the
Gotcha.
worst of both worlds, really.
Yeah, because I heard that
Jeez.
new promotional guidelines for the UFC came out, and it kind of made you guys look like you guys were employees, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're being treated like employees for the most part. And unfortunately, we have none of the protections that the employees have. We don't have workers' compensation. We don't really have anything. So because we're independent contractors, right? So
Anything.
yeah, we don't get a lot.
Jeez,
We don't get
So-
anything.
So there's an issue, but then there's going to be a discussion that has to happen between all of us fighters. Like, okay, once we figure out they have misclassified us as independent contractors when we're actually being treated as employees. Now, what do we want to do? Do we want to fight them in court and go through that process and get the status of employee?
It sounds like a nightmare.
Or do we want to remain independent contractors and go that route and get them to strip away a lot of the conditions that they've placed on us, making us employees, if that makes any sense.
So you said that some UFC fighters have been reluctant. Are you getting that more from like the people that are like more known or champions because they think that this will affect their pay once it comes into effect?
It's everybody, man. It's everybody. It's not like there's some people that are just like sick and tired of it, and they're really really eager to get on board, but they're very few and far between.
Is it anonymous when someone signs that card, so no one finds out about it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's anonymous, and it's also protected by federal law through the NLRB.
But does the UFC, once that list of 150 people are put down, does at any time the UFC see that list?
No.
Oh,
that's awesome.
That's good.
That's pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Well, what
awesome.
would stop anyone from making up people then?
Well, I mean,
Making up signatures.
I'm sure they have a roster, right? Like the UFC has a
illegal.
yeah. I mean, I'm sure they don't want to start with a bad foot. Like we're gonna make up names to enter into this union that we want to,
All right.
be legitimate.
Yeah, we would have. There would be no reason for us to release
Right.
the names.
Right.
Like it wouldn't help our cause in any way, shape, or
Yeah.
form to release the names. So I don't see why we would.
I feel you. How many, if you can talk numbers, how many do you guys have so far?
I'm not 100% sure. We're getting more all the time.
Nice.
I know we got a couple new. I got a couple new ones today just by myself. So
Nice.
there's a bunch of us working on this now, and we're getting a couple other guys that are wanting to join and jump onto the board at the executive board, because I think we've still got a couple spots open. Like there's 3 of us right now, but I think we're gonna either have 7 or 9 spots. I don't think that's a set thing yet. But yeah, so we've got some more space on the board. But the thing is about being on the executive board is now you're like your neck's out there, right? Because now your name is going to be made public.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the more ballsy people or the people that are more fed up are going to be the ones that are doing that. But really,
Kajan,
we're
what
open
are
to
the-
everybody,
What are the requirements to be on the board? Let's say someone's interested in signing and they're thinking about,
Fuck,
being
I
on the-
forgot Ashley was here. Dude, I turned around. I'm like, where the voice come from? Oh, shit. Because I'm looking this way.
Spayo, you sound really sexy right now.
Been working on my voice.
Sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Ashley.
So, what are the requirements to be on the board? Obviously, an MMA athlete, a Bellator, UFC, does it matter what organization? You know what I mean? Like, Leslie is the president, you're the vice president, Al is the treasurer. Like, what kind of, requirements are in place?
There's no real requirements other than being an active fighter in one of those organizations.
So
And then being willing to help. That's pretty much it. And it's just like, really, it's just talking about it to different fighters. You can do it through back channels. You can do it publicly. It's completely up to you. And getting people to sign up and trying to build momentum for this thing, And then once we have a body in place, they'll be like, you'll be on the board of, you'll be in the process of making all the decisions. Like, okay, well, really, a lot of the decisions will be made collectively as a group, but there'll be some like minor decisions that need to be just made by the board to save time,
So what is the difference between this, I guess this new go at trying to get a union started in the last one where everyone was like wearing the t-shirts and, where like GSP was wearing the t-shirts and stuff like that. Does it feel sometimes that people were involved into that just for their own negotiations with the UFC at that particular time?
I don't think that was the case. I think it was more that people wanted to do something and they didn't really understand the landscape of the problem that we're dealing with. So they thought that was a good idea to sign up to that group. They thought it was a good attempt, and I commend them for doing even that, even though it did fall on its face. They didn't really think it through, like aligning themselves with people like Bjorn Repney, who rub a lot of fighters the wrong way, screwed over a lot of fighters in the game. So that wasn't the best choice, but at least they tried something. And I'm hoping that those fighters, since they must care to some degree, I'm hoping that those fighters will now join us and join our cause.
Dude, so am I. Like I am so excited, and so I just hope this comes through for you guys, because I can't even imagine you're on a video game. Like money should be sent to you constantly.
Yeah.
It is. Dude, you're
crazy.
fighting a very good fight, and you're a busy ass man. I commend you for that. It's awesome.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
So just as before we wrap up here, just as a quick message to your fellow fighters, what do you got?
Well, it's just time to stand up, man. Like, they're just stripping away more and more of our rights. We used to have the ability to get as many sponsors as we wanted, well, at least within reason. Then they brought in this Reebok policy, and now they're saying that we're not even being paid for wearing Reebok. It's just something that they can give us or take away at any time. If we don't meet all these requirements, if we say something they don't like, or we wear something that they don't like during fight week, regardless of our obligations to them, it's wrong. They're able to do anything they want right now, and this is the only way that we're going to stop them. Between this effort and the Ali Act and the antitrust lawsuit right now that's happening, these are the three. It's like a three-pronged attack, in my opinion. So we just need everybody to get together on this. Stop fighting amongst ourselves. The UFC is set up. It's kind of like a microcosm of society. They try to divide us so that we're so busy fighting amongst ourselves for these little scraps at the table that we miss this entire pie that's sitting up there being eaten by these fucking billionaires. You know, it's enough is enough. The time is now. 2018 is the year, and we need to get this done. So everybody just go to the website, projectspearhead.com. It's all anonymous. Sign up, sign a card, and let's get this thing rolling, man. Let's get this thing done. Let's take our rights back.
Hell yeah.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Kajan Johnson for president.
Yeah. 2020.
Hey, real quick, dude, you're probably in a fight camp right now, because you're fighting when? Next month?
You're fighting?
I fight in 3 weeks yesterday.
Oh,
right in the middle of it.
You know we'll be rooting for you, buddy.
Hell yeah.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much
man.
for coming on and dropping knowledge as always. It's always a pleasure to have you on, brother.
Yes.
Donkey Show family.
Anytime, man. I really appreciate all the airtime. Really do.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Thanks, man.
Ragin Kajan Johnson.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome.